January of 2020 when I left for Europe for training. And then 2020 February is when I moved to Ukraine, the 6th of February. So I'm going into my 3rd year of ministry in Ukraine. I arrived in Odessa on February 7th, and a couple of weeks after I arrived, the pandemic hit, and we were all in lockdown. So it was weird because I didn't get an orientation that I would have had because of COVID and us being isolated. Even though I was able to see my team on some levels, the pandemic really had us shut down. I found myself alone in my apartment. And in some ways it was helpful because when I went out to the streets, I was able to see Odessa, learn my surroundings because there weren't a lot of people out there. So I got to walk and see where things were and kind of learn things on my own at a slower pace that wasn't so overwhelming for a new missionary. In some ways the pandemic was helpful, but it was hard not to be able to do ministry. One of my jobs as a first-year missionary was to learn the language. So the pandemic allowed me to spend more time in language learning in the beginning. Здравствуйте, меня зовут Lauren. And that is hello, my name is Lauren. My role at first was really language learning and helping along with the English outreach on our team. So it went from that to I was kind of given the reins to lead the English ministry, which was very scary for me, especially in the first year. So, but I prayed a lot and I got some advice from just teammates from all over who've done English ministry, asking lots of questions and how could we build a program that really was focused on the Bible so that it was more Bible-centered. So we started Genesis English Club, where our focus was to have conversations through Bible stories and ways for students to learn more about the Lord, but it also gave them an opportunity to, practice conversational skills. It's been a real blessing to be able to be a part of that ministry, and we would also do things outside of the ministry like a karaoke night, or we had on Monday nights we would have brownies and Bible, where it was a great way for them to ask those deeper questions about the gospel. As we were able to have more freedom to serve and the restrictions weren't as strong, we did more ministry. So most recently we started a Bible study group for international students. So we had American students, Ukrainian, and even African students from different countries in Africa. I think mainly we had Nigerian students. And that was a beautiful group. It was my favorite group to lead. We called it the Runglish Bible Club. And it was basically like we spoke in English and in Russian in that group, and we just kind of did a multilingual Bible group, and it was very unique and fun, really awesome. Along with that ministry, I started a single women's ministry just to encourage women that God sees them and how can we live well as singles. So that was something that was a really sweet ministry. At the end of my first year serving in Ukraine, I was really focusing on ministries and getting more and more into ministry than I was in the beginning, because the beginning was more language, but I really did continue my language, and I'm still continuing my language because it's so important. It was not my desire or goal to meet anyone. While I was in Ukraine, I was really focused on wanting to serve the Lord and wanting to serve the people of Ukraine and to have no distractions while doing that. I have some missionary friends who really wanted me to meet a brother in one of our sister churches who was a seminary student and serving the Lord in his church as a worship leader and a youth minister, because we would make good friends and encourage each other in the Lord. I resisted for about a year because I wanted to focus on our ministries. I had the opportunity to help with summer camps while my team was on HMA. And it just so happened that this person that some of my friends were trying to get us to meet was hosting a camp. He was leading a camp. And he reached out to me to see if I wanted to help with the camp. And after that, we just continued to chat, and we decided to start talking and courting basically, and yeah, our relationship just kind of grew from then, and we both saw qualities in each other that we really loved and valued as things that we've desired or prayed for in a spouse. And on February 14th of 2022, he asked me to marry him. So after our engagement, not even 24 hours later, my team and I had made the decision that we needed to start moving toward the border because this threat of war was really becoming more of a reality. So we had already decided that on February 15th, we were going to start moving toward Ismail near the border. So on the 24th of February, Russia started their full-scale invasion. On that day, early in the morning, my team leader called me and told us that we needed to go because they were bombing us. And my pastor, who's like a father to me, was the first call, and he called and told me, "Daughter, you need to get out of Ukraine." The way he said it was he had such emotion in his voice. I had to hold myself together and just pack and leave. I never wanted to leave. To have to evacuate for me was leaving family again. You know, it's like I left family once, and then this was really ripping me away. It felt like this ripping away of, I had these roots. You know, I had reestablished roots, you know, a pastor who was like a father, friends who were like, girlfriends who were like sisters, people who really embraced me and let me into their homes or fed me. And leaving that was incredibly hard. And then on top of that, to leave while being engaged and even planning a wedding. It was overwhelming, you know, it was overwhelming, it was surreal. And to leave to go to another country where I'm trying to grasp the language and everything in one country, and now I'm being uprooted to another one where I don't know the language, and it was so many emotions. And once we got to the border to cross over to Romania, I just folded and just the tears started coming out. It was real. I felt like I was leaving another family, and this person also that I was getting ready to marry, and my place with the Lord that was so special. And but we had to do it, and we weren't doing it alone. There were other Ukrainian people who were leaving with us. So we came to this new place, and we had to keep moving. And the time has not been easy. I'm still struggling and still grieving a lot of losses. But I have found strength in the Lord through the pain, of course. We know that He works in those ways. And now the ministry here in Brașov, Romania, is to displaced Ukrainians and really helping them through this really tough time. And it's hard because we're also struggling. So it's like we're hurt people trying to minister to other hurt people, and it's interesting dynamic. And I found a lot of strength through prayer. One day in particular, I woke up just paralyzed from pain, and I just didn't know what to do. So I started praying in this weakened state because I had no energy. And as I prayed, I started feeling and gaining strength. From that day on, I decided I'm gonna really dedicate myself to praying for the people of Ukraine, for my friends, for the women here, for all those who are hurting, for anybody else who needed it. And it's really grown my prayer life with the Lord and reliance on the Lord. And as a result, I'm able to share that with women here in Brașov who are also really struggling, leaving their brothers, fathers, husbands. So my teammate Andrea and I, we lead Bible studies for the women. They're meant to encourage women in this time of just pain and separation from family and home and war, you know. We do talk about suffering, and we've talked about praying through the scriptures, praying the scriptures. We want the women to know that we are here to support them and to encourage them and to walk with them in this as we're walking through it too. And it's just been a huge blessing, and there are some women who are, you know, not believers, who I feel like this is a time that the Lord is using to really draw them to Him. And, you know, there's one woman in particular who's coming to Bible studies, and she has questions, and she seems to be curious about, you know, the Lord and Christianity. So we understand that, you know, pain brings this need for the Lord, and these Bible studies are a way for women to come and learn more, to ask questions, or to be prayed for, or just to encourage them, to let them know that we're here with them in this. But I do hope that we come back loving God more than we did when we left, and with a stronger relationship with Him, and that those who aren't believers, they would believe.